Please welcome to the program now, from New York, Congressman Peter King. Good morning, Congressman King.
Hey, Don, how you doing?
I'm fine, sir. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too.
Congressman King is a Republican serving his 9th term in the House. He's a ranking member of the Homeland Security Committee. Let's start there with this guy trying to blow up the plane. Give me your view of that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were serious mistakes made from beginning to end. What bothers me the most, though, is that certainly for the first few days, and even maybe right through now, the administration doesn't seem to fully get it. First you had, Janet Napolitano saying everything worked when actually nothing worked. And then yesterday, John Brennan, who was the president's top Homeland Security advisor, he said that that there was no smoking gun. Well, and very seriously, if that banker in Nigeria, who's the most prominent person in the country, walks to the American embassy and says, I think my son's involved with jihad or with terrorists or extremists, the least we should have done is put that guy on a list where he'd be subjected to a pat-down or secondary screening, if not a no-fly list. They seem to have the attitude or the feeling, the administration, that we have to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. Like we can't put a terrorist from Nigeria on a real watch list, so we can't put him on a no-fly list unless we have overwhelming proof. We don't. I mean, to me, if there's any indication at all that the person's involved in terrorism, we give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We keep him out.
What actually happened on the plane, Congressman?
Well, again, I don't have all the details. The reason I'll tell you that is this administration, unlike any other I've been involved with, has totally shut us down as far as giving information. So what I'm getting is from sources that I have in the different agencies. The guy actually went to the men's room and then came back. What he was using, basically, he was using a syringe with a liquid in it to detonate the explosives that he had, the PETN, and it went off, but it didn't explode. It started to, like smoke and flames started to come. Rather than explosion, it simmered, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And at that stage, flight attendants and passengers jumped on top of him, and they got a fire extinguisher and were shooting that at him, and they were just beating him down, and they held him for the rest of the flight. So it was very quick and heroic efforts by people on the flight that brought him down, especially the crew, the flight attendants. And then, of course, there was a person, I guess he was the Dutch guy, who went actually leaping through the air and over the seats and landed on top of him.
So what happened was simply the device didn't work.
Right. The device did not work. If it had worked the way it was supposed to, all those people would have been killed, and probably a lot of people on the ground, because he detonated or attempted to detonate it over land. No, it didn't work. It was a combination of luck that it didn't detonate, and also the fact that there was a quick acting crew which prevented him from taking any follow-up action. But no, the system failed. Okay,
so I was under the impression, the reason I asked that question, I noticed you sort of paused like, I can't believe this idiot just said this, but me, I mean, not you, Congressman. But I was, the information I initially had was that by the action of the flight crew and the passenger, they thwarted this attempt and prevented the device from working and the guy from carrying out his plan. But that's not the case.
No, the device did not work. Now, it's possible if he had been given enough time, he could have gotten it to work. But the fact is, a smoke and flame started to come up. It did not explode. Or if it did explode, it sounded like small firecrackers. So the device did not work. And but the crew was still heroic, but no, it didn't work. If it had worked, everybody would be dead.
Not to suggest that you should be anything, but you don't seem that happy to be on with me this morning.
No, I am delighted to be with you. I'm always delighted to be in any show that Bernard is involved with, and I just felt that for the new year, because the last time I was on, I think I probably went too far. I mean, you are a senior citizen, even a couple of years older than I am, and I thought I went a little too far in what I said about you, so I figured for the new year, as part of reaching out to everyone, I would be a nice guy, but it doesn't work. Here I am trying to be a nice guy, and that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So what can I do? I'm at my wit's end now, Don.
Well, I don't know. I think we could be aware that before you said anything that I'm battling cancer. You think you might be cognizant of that, Congressman?
Actually, that doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, a point in your favor for that one. 20 minutes. Back to this Homeland Security situation for a second. The President's response was, what did he have to say about all this?
Well, first of all, it took him 3 days to say anything. And I'm not saying he has to jump out and be scaring people, but somebody from the administration should have come forward and at least said, give him some idea what was happening and that they were in charge of it. when the president finally spoke on the third day, he said this was an act of an isolated extremist, and then he said he had to leave because he was going off to play golf. And then the next day he came back and said that he called him a violent extremist. He said it was serious and there were failures in the Homeland Security apparatus and the intelligence community. And then on Saturday, I guess, when he gave his radio address, he did say it was part of an al-Qaeda plot, and it was based in Yemen, and it is a serious issue. I just feel, listen, the president obviously is committed to protecting the country, but I just think the signal from the top, from day one when they said they would not use the word terrorism anymore, there's not going to be a war on terrorism, when they say that we have to, though, do all we can to protect the country, and then the Attorney General says he's going to be criminally investigating the CIA interrogators who basically kept us safe for so many years, it just sends a mixed message. When he says he's going to close down Guantanamo and he's going to bring the 9/11 masterminds to New York City for a trial, which, by the way, is going to cost, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars before it's over, put the city even more at risk than it is now, when these guys could have been tried and could have been over with at a military tribunal, which is fully legal, but for some reason, as part of our apology to the world, he wants to have this massive extravaganza in Lower Manhattan, which is putting everyone at risk, serves no purpose, and could open up our intelligence secrets to the rest of the world. So all of this is, again, the mixed signals coming from this administration. And then now he's saying that we are engaged in Yemen, which we are, by the way, and from what I know of it, and being on the Intelligence Committee, I have some access to this. I think he's doing the right thing as far as what we're doing in Yemen. But at the same time, now we're going to be sending Guantanamo terrorists back to Yemen. So, again, it's all this mixed message coming from the top, and I think that's what reflected itself over the last week, a very mixed response to what happened and almost a schizophrenic administration.
Do you think Congressman King ought to get rid of Janet Napolitano?
They should certainly consider it. And the only reason I'm hesitating on that at all is...
Well, have you considered it?
No, there could be a lot of blame to go around here, and it's easy to pick one person and say she should go. I think we need a full investigation to see what happened, because there were virtually at every step along the way, it appears there was a massive failure. Now, Janet Napolitano, probably the main thing she did wrong was coming out afterwards and saying that everything worked when it didn't. How much she was actually involved and what went wrong, we don't know that yet. So she became, the face for the failure. Whether or not she's the one who's actually responsible, I don't know.
Well, it'd be helpful to me if you were willing to throw her under the bus, but instead of this mamby-pamby position you've taken on her. So.
Well, again, I am pretty much a very superior intellect, so I'm able to see many, many aspects to all issues. And rather than being some redneck and just diving in and going for the jugular,
like I would.
I prefer to sit back. Again, I'm more like from the Bernard McGurk school, where we just sit back and we're very rational and very reasonable.
Well, I don't mean anything by this other than what I mean by it. That is, if Chuck Schumer can serve in the Senate, so can you.
I got you. Well, okay. Well, listen, that's
with far more distinction, by the way.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Actually, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You behave yourself. You got my vote. All right.
Don, hey, that's all I could ask for. Thank you.
All right, baby. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks from Peter King here at the Irish Morning Program. It's 13 till the hour.